Hi testers and MOT bay owners, Barry from MOT Juice. Video today we're going to talk about diesel particulate number counters. It's the latest diesel emission technology. So this is being used in Germany, in Holland, in Belgium. I think what we can take from that immediately is that it will come to the UK. So why are we using particulate counters versus the good old smoke meter over there? Well, with modern diesels, we've got a DPF in the mix, and we are producing emissions that old style diesel smoke meter can't read accurately. So we've got tiny particles that can't be seen by the naked eye, which when you breathe them in, go into your lungs. They go so deeply into your lungs that your lungs can't reprocess them, put them back out, okay? The old smoke, the soot that we saw coming out of the old school bus, you know, that stuff, we could process that internally, but we can't get it back out. So it's important for us as a population that we try and reduce these emissions, and here's the technology that measures them. I think as well what we are seeing is that, you know, a modern diesel fitted with a DPF is actually pretty efficient. They run very, very clean, but people are starting to quite happily cut DPFs open, rip the middle out, weld it back up, refit it, remap the vehicle and drive it around and create loads of pollution. So the government are interested in making sure that doesn't happen, and that's perhaps a solution. Another application that I know is being considered is, you know, borough councils, city councils where you've got low emission zones are talking about having these units mobile, so anybody that's driving around in those zones can be tested at the side of the road. I think the reason it's coming is fairly sensible. I don't think we're going to get away from it. What we suppose should think about as MOT people, is it any quicker or any slower to do an MOT test with one? We'll look at that. What's the cost of the unit? So yes, it's going to be another cost. These units, 3 to 5 grand, I think is where they're going to sit. Calibrations are going to be similar to our diesel smoke meter. This doesn't do away with that, so now you're going to have an extra piece of equipment. Are you going to have it? I don't think you're going to have it. What the DVSA are alluding to is that if you test a lot of cars that are late diesels and you want to continue testing them, you're going to need this piece of equipment. If you live in an area where you don't see enough brand new diesels to justify the investment, then don't. It just means that if someone turns up with one of those cars, you're not going to be able to test it. For me, where we live, yeah, we'd be investing pretty quickly. And while I think about it, we should put a little thank you out to the guys from Continental who've lent me this machine. So I think what we need to do now is stick this into a few vehicles and we'll see what the readings are like. See you in a minute. Okay, so here we go, our first particle test. We've got in a late Mercedes. It's at operating temperature. It's been running for, I don't know, 5 minutes outside. So it's got a full chance. I'm going to just click go on this machine. We've got 96, 88, 80, settling down, 72. Probably disturbed a bit of dust as I was putting it in there. 64,000 is what we got, going down to 56 now. Pass level in Europe at the minute is about 250,000. So that's nice and clean, well within the limits, well within where it needs to be. So we can say that this one would have passed the test. I do know that in Belgium, if you had this vehicle, or let's say it's a commercial van, and you'd taken the DPF off, when they come to test it, if they test it and find that it's producing a lot more particles than it should, all they do is increase the road tax and back tax you. So that's been their solution to people that are trying to cheat the system. Let's pack up this one, move this outside and get in a 17 or 18 plate Honda, something like that, and we'll test that. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so here we are with our second candidate of these little tests. This is Johnny, the cameraman's car, so let's see if it fails or not. See if he's allowed to go home tonight. Just click OK on the little tester. It's just stabilising. Any minute now I'll be able to put this up the exhaust. Oh, measure in progress, in we go. So we can have a look at our screen. It's jumped up, running very, very clean. Cleaner than the Merc, look at that, go Honda. So yeah, look, there's some readings on Johnny's Honda, really low, 3,000 parts per million, per cubic centimetre of particles. So that's really, really clean. That's what we want in our environment, really, because that's creating virtually no pollution at all. I think that there's a strong argument to say that where manufacturers have managed to get cars reading or producing so little pollutant that you've got to go a long way before this car creates more pollution than we created digging up just the battery that goes in our Tesla. We still got to create that energy to fill the Tesla up. So, you know, it's a bit of a different conversation maybe and not for this video. But I think that gives you a good idea about particle counters. Let's get an older vehicle in now. I've got an old Corsa outside. We can have a look at that. It's a pre-DPF van. I did test it before. It will pass a diesel smoke test. So let's see what it looks like on our particulate test. We've got the last vehicle in, this old Corsa van. It's a 2008, so no particulate filter at all. Reasonably regularly serviced. You know, it's one of our own vehicles, so the last thing we're going to look after is that. I've got it ready to go. I'm going to click OK on the thing. Once I put the exhaust probe up, so I'm going to put that in, jump over here, press OK on the analyzer. So it's now stabilising, typical thing, we've got to wait. Measurement in progress. See it shooting up, it's shooting, 7,000. That's all times 1,000 though, so bang, it's out of range. It's gone above 5 million parts per cubic centimetre. That will not let it measure any higher than that. So a resounding fail in probably, I would have said 5 seconds of test time. It absolutely bombed it out. So that shows you, I guess, how many particles per million we're dealing with in these older vehicles. I tested this earlier on the smoke meter and it passed at MOT standards. So, you know, given the standards that we were working to at that time, it meets and currently meets the standards. So that can be driving around doing what it likes. But compared to a modern diesel vehicle with a particulate filter that's working, this is an absolute horror. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can receive updates when we release new product reviews.